Hello guys, this is Dutch020. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back of course to the Grand Prix races of this week. We had a very good Wednesday and trust me and believe it guys, we are in for a hell of a Saturday. As we saw last week, the matchmaking was very nice and was very good and everything was solid and a first place was again earned and again I'm very happy guys and everything my personal goals is already achieved and now everything will be focused on helping my teammates. I had some time and I was really I was really prepared for it and well, let's say guys, we're in for a few hell of races. The first race we are up against a guy from Red Bull Racing, which is Vincent. And we are up for the first race today, which will be in America, in Austin. The first and the final race of today will be driven here, and let's see what the first drivers will do. I choose on the dry circumstances now for Stroll and to Verstappen, and later on in the video you will see why that choice will be made and the hard consequences if you do not. So everybody who will still be watching this, use Stroll and Verstappen if you're max level, and that's the way to go, believe me. Because if your opponent is driving with Stroll and Hamilton, he will start behind you. And that will we see later on in the video. As the first race will go, you will see that our opponent is to a bot. So the first race isn't easy into we're going. So let's settle in here. Verstappen at P3 for now. As we saw, we did the tire trick, of course, because we're trying to fly away to create some distance and fly away with the good boost we have set up. Onto Stroll, we have put the dead fast boost, and onto Verstappen, we've put the lumberjack boost. And as we see here with Verstappen onto the straight with the lumberjack boost, that is so sophisticated, and he did beautifully. Verstappen there, but on P3 had no chance, of course, and now we can easily drive away with Stroll on P1 and Verstappen again on P2. The tire management at Austin is phenomenal, especially when you have a boost with a small multiplier onto the tire, as both of these tire boosts do. It's of course again wonderful, and you can easily push for 3 laps. As you see with Stroll, we're already pushing for 1.5 lap already. He still has plus 40 almost after going into the final lap before his first pit stop. And as we see with Verstappen, we are not pushing to the max, and he still has a lot of percentage left on his tires. So again, Austin is great. So if you're having the right boost, you will do good. So for the guys who are a little bit in the center field, so let's take our bot opponent by example. He was becoming up to the grid at mid-center field, and now he's P5 and P9. The Taurus boost, the downforce boost would have done him nicely. But again, I also think still for him as well, the dead fast and as well the lumberjack would have done him great. That straight here would to get over your opponent, as you just saw with Verstappen at P3, he easily took over at P2. It's not even a competition. If I know at this track I'm driving a bot opponent, it's becoming an easy 47 points. There are just a few tracks into this game, Interlagos, Austria, right here, of course, Baku. At those straights with the right boost, you are uncatchable. And if your opponent, of course, has the right boost, it's just coming down to the wits who has the better start, the better pit stop, you name it. And here we go guys, P1 and P2 still going good. Second pit stop is almost already on the way. Our bot opponent now at P6 and to P8. And he is of course not a real opponent, so not a really exciting race for us guys here. So again, I hope all you guys are having a good day. But don't worry guys, you can already of course skip the video if this is not for you. But trust me, a few of the nice races are really coming, and which are really good entertainment. As we see in here, our final lap is now going into Stroll, which now is coming into traffic. And Verstappen, of course, on P2. And now we're setting up the final pit stop for both of the drivers before we're gonna end this race with 47 points, of course. For all you guys who are still looking for a lot of detail and a lot more in the strategy, please of course visit our good friend Peko F1. He's made a lot of nice videos regarding winning tactics, strategies onto the tracks. And at this moment of time, I'm really of course focusing a lot on the team of Dutch DRS, and of course also making the Grand Prix videos. But I'm much more practical, as you see. I'm just sharing with you guys what I'm doing at this moment, how I'm reaching to a good level, and how we got to P1. And again, I think with a little bit more of nice matchmaking, we will get that P1 yet again. And trust me guys, we will get there together. And our opponent also here with his Verstappen now for his final pit stop. And our drivers are now going for the final lap of the first match of today. I hope for you guys, of course, you all had a great Sunday. And if you guys are still going to have your races, last week there was a lot of traffic at 9 o'clock UK time. A lot of DQs happened and a lot of general discussions at the Hutch channels, at Discord, of course. Henceforth, I think a lot of people made the choice by driving in the afternoon UK time, and as well did I, and as well a few guys of my team. And a lot of us did good, but a lot of us, according to myself as well, we had some tough matches, and but not unfair ones. Let that be clear. Of course, I'm a maxed out player, so how can it be unfair, right? Let that be clear. This was a great matching day. I already have my P1, so indeed for the next phase of my videos, the next phase, of course, of this season is just now making incredible content and showing with you guys how we're gonna get some great points. And here for guys, I'm sorry for that. We are now concluding the first race. My P1 Stroll is already, of course, finished, but he's holding up Stroll at P9. He's even now losing P9, and there we go. Give him some space, Stroll. There we are. And Stroll at P10 from our opponent has now as well concluded his race. Alright guys. Race number 2 now, of course, coming right up. And as you can see as well guys, we have the new colors, the white and the orange, real Dutch. Like the Dutch soccer team and the football team, as we prefer, of course.
And it's lights out and away we go!
Soccer, we of course have the white and the orange, so we also implanted that on our car. Especially myself got a little bit tired of the Red Bull Liberty, because of course now 99% of this game uses it. The other remains are now Ferrari or of course custom made ones. But I think it's nice to have some team colors. And here we go guys, our first big opponent of today. As we can see, he has a full team score, and on to Italy, Imola, we are now headed for our first real match of today. We have a wet qualification, which means both of our drivers will have a little bit of difficulty. Both of our guys, of course, do not have Norris. So let's see what happens. Still, we both have a very good qualification. He is at P1 and P5. I'm at P2 and 4. Guys, it's become a critical race. Of course, we are now at dry, so we're going to go with speed and also some corner work, because the Kuwai is one of the best boosts you can use here for the corners, and Eclipse is a very fast, tough boost, and also to overtake. I was a little bit doubting here to switch maybe with Kuwai to the first, but I'm really hoping with my speed of the Eclipse to make some difference, and especially at the start of the match. And let's see what our opponent, of course, has on his boosts. As we can see, he's on a different strategy, on the soft and to the medium, and to a flying start. And I did the trying, as you can see guys, the trick, I did it so fast. Nonetheless, our opponent has as well a flying start. He's on the downforce boost at the moment of time. I'm following now at P2 and P3. I'm going to hold back a little bit here with Hamilton. Let's save up his fuel and tires, of course. No need to push with both of the guys, because Stroll is of course still behind P number 1 Stroll. And as we see here with the Eclipse, we are trying to get that little bit of distance space to overtake him at the straight at the first lap here. As you can see, not well enough. We're still gonna try to maintain our speed, keep up the pace, of course, as I always say at the end of the video, because the straight is the part of the race, of the lap, I'm sorry for that, to overtake our opponent. But as we can see here, the downforce boost is doing extremely good in that last few corners. So for the guys who are still driving at Imola, please, maybe as you can see, use that downforce. And you can see with Hamilton at P3 with the Kawhi, he is waiting his chance now to attack, because that Kawhi boost is doing much more better than the Eclipse. I really tried my best here, guys, for the first pit stop, but as you can see, my tires are running out. Alright guys, come on. And as we can see right here now, for our opponent now going with his first and final pit stop with Hamilton, he's on a one-stop strategy with 4 laps on the medium soft and 4 laps on the medium, of course, and again 4 laps on the medium. And as we can see here, guys, Stroll is struggling to keep up with Stroll at P1. That downforce boost is doing very good. And as we can see now here, we're gonna try to do an undercut. And at the moment I'm trying to do an undercut, my opponent also went into the pits, and that was really unexpected for me. Hence I cancelled my undercut pit stop with Hamilton, and hope now to create some weird situation, maybe to create something. I really don't know. My opponent is doing a very good job. He's beating me into the undercut punch. He really knows how to defend his position. I'm really starting to doubt at this moment of the race what I need to do to get those full points home. And of course, that is already out of my mind. The 47 points is of course not possible. And as you can see here, I still need to make 1 more pit stop. And hence more the problems, because Stroll there needs to hold back. With 2 laps remaining, Stroll does not have the fuel not to go even at a normal rate, at a normal pace. Hamilton still a little bit room to push, but as we can see now, our opponent at P1 and P2 now has created enough distance to hold. So that Kawhi boost is going to show you something, guys, for the final lap, because here we go. Hamilton now is going to overtake Stroll, and he's going to push for the final lap to see if we can sneak away a point from our opponent. Let's see if we can at least ruin his perfect score. No politics here, guys, but if we can say we're going to steal some points from someone today, we're going to do it from this opponent, of course. And all due respect, of course, to everybody. I'm just making a light of the situation here. And here we go, guys. Hamilton now crossing into, and I really wished him a well done. And I really don't know what happened there. And guys, I really reconsider to rewind that video. That was something crazy. A ghost walked into the field and crashed his car. And nonetheless, of course, he made it into the finish, but I already watched it a few times, and if you're seeing something that I am not, please correct me. But if I'm not mistaken, I can surely see nothing, and he's just crashing into the wall, which makes my Hamilton move a place upwards and at least keep the distance.
And it's lights out and away we go!
Alright guys, great stuff, and here we go, of course, now going into the final match of, sorry again guys, going into the next match. For the new people watching onto my channel, of course I am doing my fully best. I am Dutch, I am not English, so sometimes my pronunciation or my enthusiasm gets the best of me, and I approximate something that is not correctly. Sorry for that, of course. And let's see, we're of course gonna do our best. The next race, guys, as you can see, I don't think this is a real opponent, because well, he only has the qualifiers behind of his name and a very low team score, and it was a long due of searching. And if it's a real opponent, of course, we wish him the best of luck because he has absolutely no chance whatsoever. Of course, we're gonna tap that off on real wood because, of course, a safety car or whatsoever can arise, and I can, of course, ruin my own race. So, no mercy on no one, not even on the bots. We're going full force and, of course, full-on concentration because we already lost a few points. We're gonna push and we're gonna keep those tires where we want them whole. The tire management is of course great at Zandvoort, yet again of course it was at Austin, and therefore you can use the tires to their maximum. And the tires here on the soft without a boost, if you hold back at maximum level, you can already almost do 4 laps. Well, actually you already can. You cannot push for a single second, but still you can do the 4 laps. With the towers and the rooster boost, of course, as you can see, there is a pretty nice multiplier on those. On the rooster boost, it's a 4-time multiplier, and on the Taurus, of course, one of my favorites, it's a 5-time multiplier. The corner work on the towers is of course a little bit better than just the defending of the rooster, and henceforth they are a great combination for your first and your second driver. The second driver will not push, he will only hold back the field, so that 4-time multiplier on the tires is already good enough. On the Taurus, you're going to use that 5-time multiplier because in that corner work and a little bit of a fuel boost, sometimes you want to push and sometimes create some extra distance between your first and your second driver. Because of course the last thing you want is stacking your cars in the pit lane. And as you can see, guys, here in normal circumstances, maybe Hamilton would already given up his second place because at P3 Hamilton bot is really pushing now. But that rooster boost is doing what it's being paid for, and that is holding back the competition and doing its work. It's doing very fine here. As we see, guys, no need, and as we can see here, 50% now on both of the drivers. We needed a 50% after the finish for the final 2 laps, so we have enough space now between us, and we have enough space to create some extra distance for the final lap. And as we can see here, guys, maybe if Stroll, if you're not pushing, you could do even 5 laps on the top of the towers boost. It's something I really don't like to do because, of course, if something happens and you want to push or create some distance, there's no possibility. Otherwise, you'll have 0% tires before you're going into the final corners. For the guys here who are starting midfield, I think both of the boosts I am using right now would suffice for you. I think this track will give you the same options as you would do in front of the field. Henceforth, of course, the downforce boost, the towers boost, frost boost also would do you very nice here because it gives you a nice tire advantage, but also that grip advantage. So it's doing nice into the corners. Skull boost is of course for the attackers between us, the hunters underneath us, for the guys who are P1 and P2 and want to get that fast lap and fly away from their opponents, because of course, as you can see here, a lot of corner work, difficult corner work, tight corner work, so that skull boost will fly with you, and of course the tune-in boost also will do you nicely. On the rainy circumstances, of course, the exception boost is nice here because it's very tough with the speed, and also a little bit advantage over there. But of course, the hex boost and the tune-in boost are the numbers 1 and 2 to use here. The final 2 laps of the race now going in, and as we can see, we can easily push a little bit with both drivers and create enough distance between us and the bots, and easily now take home another 47 points. So of course, as we all saw, race 1 was an easy, but race 2 was a very, very tough opponent, and some ghostly influence saved a point for us. And thank you again, whomever I may think. I really don't know, guys. It was some cool stuff, crazy game. And this race, as you can see, guys, I had some fun. I hope you guys did too. But again, this was a butt and a very easy race to take home the 47 points. And of course, enough cool races yet to come, so please stay tuned for the next few races. Our bot has now also entered the final lap of his race with both of his drivers, and at the moment they are doing so. Stroll has finished his race, and therefore as well has Hamilton. the fact that it's a but we're not going to give him a go, go, go. Please hurry up. We have stuff to do and things to prepare for because, guys, in my racing Grand Prix pool, if you are missing 3 points like I am now missing today, I can already say to you, surely and for 100%, a top 2, top 3 medal is out of the question. And that is a guarantee, and that's okay for me. Yet again, I already have my P1. I had it last week, and I know that in this group that is very special. And of course, we're gonna go for more medals, but only 8 more weeks after this one to go, and then of course we are headed for the new season. And wow, guys, I am really looking forward. I am hoping they're going to do something about the flag situation, because now, of course, this season and a few more amongst you guys maybe made the mistake just like me by getting their flags up to a maximum.
And it's lights out and away we go!
Of course, then, henceforth now in a very tough group. Let's see what they're going to do next season. And guys, I forgot to switch back after the rainy circumstances of Imola, because of course at Canada I should have used the first setup that I said at the beginning of the video, which would be Stroll and Verstappen. I already said it to my teammates this morning, guys. I found out that if you are using Stroll and Verstappen, yes, maybe every race it's a little bit different, but if you're driving an opponent, as you will see right now, you will be P1 and P2, and the Stroll and Hamilton opponent will be behind you. And as we can see now, guys, I was really bummed out here because I just said it to my teammates, and of course in the fully concentration and losing points earlier, I had not my fully focus on, and I'm being paid to it now. But guys, we are still, of course, fully focused, and I was really, again, motivated when the lights were going off at this moment, and I wish my opponent, of course, the best of luck. As we can see, our opponent has no knowledge of the tire trick, otherwise he would have flown off a little bit better, I think, and now both of my drivers are doing rock solid. And as we can see, the number 2 Stroll is on the Gladiator boost, and that already gives me that my drivers are not into competition with Stroll, because the Gladiator boost is a very nice boost, and I don't know what happened there, but again, guys, the Gladiator boost is a nice boost, but not on this track. Even though there is a nice straight, even almost 2 nice straights, the corner work is essential at this track. And as you can see here now, Stroll, the Kawhi boost is now flying away, and hence for mid-sentence, as you saw, Hamilton beautifully overtake Stroll at the corner there and overtook him at the outside of the corner, and that was beautiful. And now we're gonna push, and we're gonna be on a different strategy than our opponent, because as we can see, he's on the downforce boost with P1, and he's of course gonna do a one-stop strategy. He's gonna go on a 4 soft, and then of course it's a question if he's gonna push with 4 medium or he's gonna do 4 soft yet again, as he's doing right now. But we have to try something different, guys. If we're gonna do the same strategy as him, we are losing points 100%. So here we go, guys, our first pit stop. We can see now that Stroll really needs to maintain P2 to push, because the guys at the back of the field, they will use their pit stop a lap earlier than we did ours. So now at P1, Verstappen is now mid-stock in traffic. So at this moment, I know my Stroll already went into the pit lane, and there we go. Hamilton now beautifully overtake Stroll at P4, and there we go. Our opponent is now stuck between the traffic guys into the pit lane, and that is costing him dear seconds. And there we go, guys. Now both of my drivers are now at P1 and P2, and I will create now a distance with Hamilton. And as we can see, Hamilton now holding up Verstappen, and he's doing perfectly. I managed there to save a few beautiful seconds, and now Stroll can make his beautiful pit stop, and we will be remaining at P1. Of course, at this moment, I am a realist, and I know that Hamilton is now going to lose his first place after this lap. He did his job, and I hope now he's done enough for Stroll to maintain a P1. And now we are, of course, going to fly away with Hamilton, and we're going to do the same trick. Hamilton will be now going into the pit lane, and I hoped it would be a nice enough gap. He is already giving me a well done. I'm giving him a great race because, of course, my friend, 2 laps are still remaining. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And here we go, guys. There was not enough space, unfortunately, and now Hamilton back into the grid at P3. And as we can see, we don't have much extra fuel, but we do have some. But my opponent has not been pushing. My opponent had a one-stop strategy onto the softs. He is not now risking the need of his fuel. He has the full potential now to push for the final lap. I know so. So we need to use the fuel of Stroll very carefully right here, and also mind that, of course, at here P10 Perez is not holding us back. And here we go, Stroll now, beautifully done. A little bit of fuel left, guys, and there we go. We're going to use a little bit of extra fuel into the corners so we can cut him off. But here we go, he's going to push here. And not so ever, we're gonna push, and there we go, guys. We made it, and he made it over the pit lane. There we go, guys. Hamilton at P3. Of course, again, I lost a point, but considering I started P4 and P5 against a very good opponent who was at P1 and P2 with boost, I am very proud. There we go, guys. The downforce boost was good, but the gladiator boost is not the right boost for this track, and therefore he paid the price, and both of my drivers were able to overtake him with ease. As you can see, the Kuwait and the Jin boost are really good. The tune-in boost would also do you good here.
And it's lights out and away we go!
Conditions, there we go. And guys, as you can already see, I made a critical error, because as you can at the moment I have, of course, 4 configurations, as we all probably do. I have 1 configuration with Verstappen and Hamilton, the 1831 team score. Then the second one is Norris with Hamilton, and that is the 1832. And then I have my, of course, the famous setup for the fastest lap time. And then I have the special one with, of course, the Stroll 20%. But for the fastest lap time, I already preset Stroll, of course, and while I was presetting that already for the Brazil race, I tried to switch my setup to configuration number 4 to put also Norris on that, but with my nice fat fingers, I clicked on the wrong button and I didn't notice it until the matchmaking already started, and then it was too late and I saw my mistake. Therefore, guys, nonetheless, we are gonna drive for a hell of a race, and let's see what we can do to keep that damage to a minimum. And the tire trick, guys, is here showed in perfection. Hamilton at P9, and there we go, at P6 after the first corner, and doing a wonderful job. The exception boost is showing it is exceptional, because there we go, guys, after the first straight, after P4, at P9 going into P4. And here we go, guys. After the first few corners, we have completely shown our opponent that we are up for a race. Stroll now at P1 with the curse boost, and at P4 I have Hamilton again with the exception boost. As we can see, our opponent has the hex boost, and a small surprise over there. Some boosts you don't see often over here. Usually it's the tune-in boost, but our opponent is using the boost. I'm sorry, guys, I was trying to say here, did you see that? He beautifully almost overtook me, but Stroll, sorry, beautifully defended over there. That was beautiful. To get back to the boost of our opponent, he's on the Samba boost, and that Samba boost is giving you that fuel advantage that you can push for the entirety of the race. I was trying to hold back a little bit here with Stroll because I know my opponent's on a different strategy, and I made a mistake. This was my mistake, guys. I had to push. I had the upper hand. What am I doing here? This is unbelievably, this is uncharacteristic on my behalf. Because at that moment, I know he's gonna push for the next lap. He has all the track to do so. He has free track to do so, and I cannot push full to a maximum, otherwise that my tires will die out before I go into the pit lane, and I know a critical error now has been made, because for the next 3 laps I can again not push, otherwise I have to make another pit stop, and now if I have to make another pit stop, I have lost crucial seconds into my race pace, because now, as you can see, with a tight race and I had a nice P1 advantage, now my opponent has a very big advantage with his P1 over my P2, and now I am following him. Man, guys, please learn from this mistake. If your opponent is behind you and pushing and you know what you're doing, don't doubt. Just do what you normally do. And as you can see in all my videos, I am a pusher, I am a goer, I attack. I only go for safety at the end of the race. At the beginning of the race, make sure you have your distance. Fly away, use the trick even if you don't have to. I say it every week, and now here you go, guys. I made the critical mistake by taking it easy and keeping the race pace to a minimum. And really, guys, I'm sounding relaxed here because, of course, I'm now doing the commentary post video, post recording, and trust me, during making this video, and hence why I changed, because the emotions get out of me, because my face was not looking at my screen anymore at this moment, because I know the race is done. And I really hope that Stroll can now here maintain for P1. I did what I could, I did my best, but there we go. Hamilton also not going into the pit lane, and therefore we know Hamilton cannot push anymore, so P4 is the maximum with him that I can do, and all focus will now go to Lance Stroll at P1 to hold P1 and at least win this race, because of course, guys, with the wrong setup and starting at P2 and P9, to then finish at P1 and P4 and to give our opponent a hell of a race, and to also, of course, to win the race, I'm proud, and I really had a great race. So, of course, again, the emotions got better of me because I made a few mistakes, but also after that, I thought, you know what, I won, and there's no reason for complaints from me, guys. I already said it a few times, but I'll say it again. I already have my P1, I have what I want. There are a lot of you guys who are not maxed out. There are a lot of you guys who don't even have the setup to compete at the champion level. There are a lot of you guys who have team scores of, like, say 15 or 1600, and you're matching with maximum opponents like myself. So therefore I know everybody struggle, and I am blessed, of course, and I am happy. But of course, we are all racers, guys, so sometimes I do get emotional or competitive, and I do hope you all completely understand as fellow racers.
And it's lights out and away we go!
Race number 6, guys, here we go, and as you can see, I put now the right setup. 1763 means I rechanged my setup back onto Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen. Matchmaking now taking a longer time. That gives us normally a probability rate of 50-50 chance of meeting a bot/human, of course. It's taking a really long time this time, and there we go, guys. Bot or real person, nonetheless, it doesn't matter, because our opponent has a team score of 1595, and that means he is absolutely no threat to us. Dry circumstances, that means, of course, that our Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen will fly away. I will say a beautiful P1 and P2, I thought, and of course I had Norris, because I thought there were going to be rainy circumstances, and therefore we have a nice start now. Alright, guys, and as you can see, we had a lot of content already to discuss, and still a lot more to come, guys. Please learn from the mistakes yet again that I made at this moment of the race. Again, Silverstone, easy race to fly away. No real opponent, even if it was, he is far behind us. So easy way to push, and that is what we're gonna do. I can already say, guys, do one thing at a time. I think I'm pretty good at multitasking. I say it all the time to my girlfriend, I say it all the time to my friends. I am great at my job, I'm great at what I'm doing, and blah blah blah. But there's a lot of talk in me and not a lot of doing, because therefore this race again, my lack of concentration is being shown, and that's why it's also good to see myself sometimes on camera, because then my big mouth gets a little bit less big. because I put the boosts, the pretzel and the tulip boost, to at least fly away with one of the guys, because you have a minimum pit stop time. And at this moment I was texting with my teammates and setting up already the boost for their races and to give them strategies, and therefore I am an automatic pilot, and now we don't have space between our drivers. So please learn from mistake number one. There is absolutely no space between my first and second driver. They are now gonna stack for 100%, or I have to drop one race driver. So therefore we are now in luck, of course, of driving a bot opponent. Of course, me dropping my concentration at this moment also is due because we have a bot opponent. But as you can see, guys, Stroll and Norris are really now catching up to one another. If I'm making this concentration mistake, I do have the right boosts to do so, because the tulip boost has a 3 multiplier liability and also a, let's close in my eyes, that's a 3 multiplier on pit time as well. So that is a double, some sort of a double time on his pit. So also the pit time of Stroll now will maintain under 3 seconds, I think, and that is indeed a 2.43. And therefore now Verstappen at a 2.58, and therefore, of course, that is a that is Norris. But therefore we had a very nice pit stop, and the concentration mistake is not being punished by my opponent or by any bot or howsoever. But for all of you guys, again, keep your attention to the game, and of course you can multitask or do whatever, but even if you're at the beginning of the race, you're planning your tactics, stay fully focused. And that is, of course, for all the competitive guys out there. If you're not a competitive and you're all good with it, you're just showing it for tricks, that is all good, of course. But I was just speaking now to the fellow drivers like myself who are highly competitive and just want to win every week, of course. Alright guys, the final stages of to the race, and as we can see, we selected now the hard tire. The hard tire is now going to drive out the race for us, because our bot opponents behind us will not pose a real threat, and easy for us to drive out the race. And as we can see with Stroll now doing sufficiently, because he needs 50% for his final 2 laps, as do Norris. And as we can see, the tire management of both the drivers is well enough. Norris, of course, a little bit better with his tires than Stroll, but as we can see with Stroll, there is no room to push. There's no need to push, and if we're not pushing with that hard tire, he can easily maintain for 4 laps. Alright guys, at this moment, as you can see, the concentration mistake yet again has not been punished, and I was luckily for it. The moment, of course, in my beginning of the stage, when I already lost a few first points, when I scored -3, I believe it was already race 2, right? Yeah, that was race 2. I should have maybe taken a break after that, you know, take a breather, go outside, walk for 5 seconds. My mistake was just to keep diving right in it, and just to keep diving right in it, you can keep in that bad momentum and you just get out of it. So guys, when you have a bad race, it's not the end of the world. Just go outside, take a breather, scream into a pillow, to do whatever calms you down, but just do so. Don't make my mistake. And I stayed in that, let's say, that bad mood, and that bad mood inflicted on me by making me a few more critical errors and a few concentration errors. And as we can see here, the 47 points are in, so I'm not complaining. I'm just helping you guys to do and to not do what I did. And as we go, guys, our opponent now finishing up his race, and of course our bot opponent, we're not going to wish him the best of luck. He doesn't need it. All the luck with Hutch is the luck for the drivers. We do need it. So many tricks going around, guys, online. I've been talking to a lot of guys, also some YouTube creators, and there are so many tips and tricks and whatsoever. There's also a trick I will never share with you guys, and that's also
And it's lights out and away we go!
For the guys that do know the super secret trick, and I won't even say the title of the trick, the guys will know which one I will talk about, and they know I speak the truth. Otherwise, of course, I cannot record my videos. But therefore, guys, there are a few things of this game which you can say the game is broken, and therefore, of course, I also hope for next season they're gonna fix all those internet laggy things and whatsoever, and just race real opponents, because here we go, guys. The next mistake of today. Why did I change to the fast lap setup? There is absolutely no need. First of all, the fast lap is only important if you have the full on points. And I already lost points going into this race. Not did I lose points at one race, I already lost points at 2 races. At the first race, and of course the previous one against my opponent at Spa. So I really did not know why I did this. Again, I was an automatic pilot. I was still, in lack of better terms, in that bad mood. So therefore I did not take my breather, and I kept pushing for more mistakes. And therefore, guys, on Firework and Eclipse, I thought, let's push and let's go. But guys, if you're at P4 and P5, you do need some fuel. But there we go. We're gonna go with the start and see what we can do here. And as we can see, guys, we have a fully opponent, but our opponent, I don't know what he did, or he took us for granted, or he does not know about the trick. But using the tire trick, we are now at P1 and P3. And he still has a higher team score. Of course, we have the better team score for this track. So at this moment of time, guys, we need to push, we need to go. But he has the right boost to fight with me. Because at the moment we see he is pushing, so we cannot hold back, because otherwise he will overtake and hold his positions. Because as you can see, the shark boost, what a nice boost, and it's doing its job. It's overtaking me beautifully. And the Eclipse is of course a nice boost, but there is no tire multiplier on it. So again, the shark boost has a great advantage. I only have the advantage now onto the straight and onto the first part here of the track. As you can see here, the part where Stroll was just driving. So therefore, guys, I am now putting the hopes of 47 points out of my mind. We're just going to hope to win the race and get as many points, of course, as we can. A P1 and P3 would now be, I think, the most obtainable option out there. As you can see, guys, Stroll now up for his first pit stop. I was here fully focused on to Hamilton, and as we can see, Stroll did a good job. We had enough room to stay ahead of our opponent, who is on the dead fast boost. As you can see, he pushed a little bit on too much with his shark boost. His shark boost is now running out of tire. He still has a few percentage left, and therefore you can also see how well that shark boost is. Now the shark boost now here has died, but he still made it well into the pits, and his pace was well enough, because my Hamilton, even though he's on the Eclipse boost, there is not enough space now here to overtake. And he still did. Wow, I remembered it wrong. I already thought that I already lost the position over here. So now at the moment we're still doing good, guys. However, our opponent, who had a one-stop strategy on Hamilton, which means he has the ability to push, but also now to do it with a 4-lap strategy. So we know that at P3 Hamilton, we still need to go to the pit. So that P3 will probably be a P4, to keep that into our minds. Here for at the front of the field, guys, a wonderful battle now going on between both of the Strolls. Both of these Strolls also now going into the pit. We know that our opponent is stopping before us into the pit lane, so we needed more space. But I had no more fuel to do so. I already used a lot of my fuel at the beginning, and his Stroll on the dead fast boost had some advantage. And guys, while I'm talking, please just skip back the video for a second, because the bad thing in the pit that can ever happen to you happened. At P16 will be Yuki Tsunoda. He was also making his pit stop, and while making the pit stop, he came between me and to the other Stroll. And as you saw, we both went to the pit lane at the exact same time. I was even in front of him for a little bit, but because that Tsunoda come in between us into the first corner of the pit, he now had already a significant gap and enough space to keep his distance from me. And as you can see, guys, after a very first nice trick, after a very first lap, everything went well. We are now at P3 and P4. And yes, of course, we had a lesser team score. And yes, we had everything for a fast lap. He had better corner work, better tire advantage, and then that streak short boost kicked my butt. We can just say it, he kicked my butt for 100%. This is a complete humble defeat. I can say here, it could have gone differently, but guys, this was a tough loss, a really good loss. If I was not making videos, I can surely
And
say
it's
the
lights out
emotions
and
would have
away we go!
sorry for that. The emotions would have gone maybe the better out of me, but of course it's now becoming great YouTube content because you can all learn from my mistakes. I think the two fast boosts on both of my drivers with the same component tire was a mistake. I think I should have used the Taurus boost, to do something different, or use the medium tire with the dead fast boost, for some more tire advantage. I knew because it was a very fast match, matchmaking by Hutch, so I knew it was a real opponent. I thought only about speed, and only thinking about speed was my mistake, because there's the mistake. I already had the speed set up. I already had the setup for a lot of speed, not much grip. So if you're putting a boost on your only speed, you're gonna have only speed. So then there is no room to get your opponent into the corner work, and henceforth his street shark on the Hamilton was doing so well, and as we can see in the corner work, I lost. For the final race, guys, as we can see, we have a less opponent, no room for more errors. We already lost so much points. We are minus 10 at this moment. And therefore, guys, I was literally saying this to myself when I was recording this. I was saying to myself, just 10 points, it's okay, don't whine it. And at that moment, I saw that my opponent, who is a real opponent, is starting at P11 and P14. What am I whining about? This guy, look at his team score, and he's getting matched with me. This is a warrior. This guy deserves all the credit, of course. So, David, I wish you the best of luck for this race, and I hope you can kick some butt. But for me, of course, I hope you can only make it until P3 and P4. So at the beginning of the race, I will of course focus now to fly away, to create some distance, and therefore, of course, after that, we're gonna root for David, for both of his drivers to finish within the top 10, and hopefully for him to drive into the top 5 with both of his drivers. So therefore, again, guys, David, I can say whatever I want, but to take him by example, his matchmaking here was horrible. I have a team score of 150 points more than him, and that is between the 10% matchmaking mark that Hutch famously put into this game. And guys, if you both have a very low team score, that 10% is not very big. But the higher the statistics go, the higher the 10% goes. So if you're in a maxed out driver and you're meeting someone who has a 10% less score team score less than you already see what it does to your grip positions. I am a P1 and P3, and my opponent is outside the top 10. And the only thing he can do is now drive as hard as he can and drive into the top 10. As you can see with our opponent, he is now on the Eclipse boost, and if I pronounce correctly, the Hera Tout boost. And to be honest, guys, that's a boost I do not use. So for our opponent, I don't think he has a nice boost arsenal, or not the knowledge what to do so. So I hope for him he's gonna cross into some YouTube videos and look some up, because like I said, Preco F1, Gaming with King, all those guys, they have great video content. I'm not making my videos into a competition with theirs. No, that is not my intention. That's why, of course, crediting their work. I am also watching their work at the beginning of the season. I have to say, guys, I have a very busy job, and I love what I'm doing, and I love making YouTube videos. But that's it. I love making YouTube videos, and of course, help everybody who is in the same situation as me. We have too much flags. We want to drive real opponents, but we also want that P1. We don't want to use too many tricks. We only want to use what is necessary. And therefore, guys, also in my videos, as you can see, the only necessary thing that I use is the tire trick. You do need it. And therefore, is what you saw in Brazil. I will use it. I know it. My opponent did not know it or forgot to use it. But as you can see, it's because he had a better team score. He can still maintain for P1 and P2. But if I had a high team score and I had the tire trick, and hence that I did at Interlagos, I think the 1 and 2 would have been in my pocket because I had a lot more corner advantage. So I did not have the necessary need to push for all those laps. Hindsight, of course, would have done this, would have done that. I take the loss humbly. I lost fair and square. Let it be clear, guys. Back into our opponent, into the final stage of the race. Our opponent is now onto the hard tire, and as we can see with Verstappen, he has probably about, well, let's say 45% left on his hard tire, which means he still needs to go for a final pit stop. But there, of course, our drivers already went for the final pit stop at his Stroll at P6 can maybe now finish the race, but then he has no more room to push, because for the final 2 laps he at least needs that 50% on his hard tires just to go at a normal pace rate. And his Verstappen should have made a pit stop over here. I'm looking at it right now. Of course, I was focused at my race, and now both of his drivers are gonna battle it out, and that's gonna cost him dear seconds into his race pace. Because there you can see at P8, Russell is now knocking to the back door from P7, and he will make his entrance. Because of course, there you saw it. Both of his drivers were both battling it out. That was a big mistake. He wants to push, so his Verstappen should have pitted the lap before. That hard tire is not a good tire. Of course, it was already the end, but he's gonna try now to finish the race. He had no need to push. His motivation already left the race, as you can see here. For next time, please, man, I know this tough is for this matchmaking, how tough it can be, this matchmaking, but of course, keep your head high, because you can still get a lot of points. And I think if he had a little bit of a different tactic and tire skills, he would have done a lot better. And he's still wishing me a best of luck, so that means he's not in a bad mood. That means he's not in his concentration. That just simply means he does not have very good strategies. So for all the people who are watching out here, I am maybe not the best, but I am providing a lot of strategy work, of course, for you guys. And I will do much more content, of course, into the future. Alright, guys. Woo! A lot of breath is now leaving my body, a lot of relief as well here. These were 8 tough races. A top battle is of course out of the question, but nonetheless this was some great content for the video today. And as we can see, zigzagging to 1, 6, 3 and 8, we have a 47, and onto the other zigzag we have a 45, 44, 43, 46 points. We do have a very nice lap, 23.067. That is still not the fastest one, because 23.032 I believe is faster. And then you even have the super safety car lap, which would be 23.001, and I did saw that on a few drivers past week. Everybody who's still gonna use their races today, I wish you all the best of luck. If you have a question, please DM me on Discord. I will be live tonight until about 11 o'clock UK time, and I will help you. Please, guys, stay in the race and keep up the pace.